I think where we should start is just if you want to talk about how it was growing up. Were you always were you raised in born in Cyprus or
Born and raised.
okay?
Born and
And how
raised.
was that growing up?
Wow. Looking back now, we were very, very poor, but Lord, we were happy. We didn't even know. We didn't even know we were so poor. Had nothing sometimes, but we were very happy. And, a lot of us lived together and you could not separate us. It's like the house was always full, but we wanted to stay together.
How many of you were in the house?
At, at, at one point, it was maybe over 12 because the older ones were having children. So I had nieces and nephews and sisters and brothers, and we cook for everyone. And sometimes cooking was hectic and challenging
In what way?
because you have so many mouths to feed
Yeah.
and you have to count and make sure you get the right number.
And you grew up. Your father passed before you.
My father passed when I was about 4 years old.
Okay.
I don't remember him. I remember things that we did together as a little child, but I can't see his face. I don't remember his face or anything.
And did that provide any challenges for grandma growing up? And
I would think, after he passed, it was very difficult because he passed and left 9 children. And mom had to be the mother and father, and she had to take over what he used to do. He was a farmer. So, and a district constable, a sort of a police officer, but not official police officer. He took care of the district that he was living, just that district alone. So he was a farmer plus the district constable, and he died pretty young, and mom had to take up from there, did everything on her own for quite a while.
so watching her kind of take over and be, turn into the breadwinner and kind of everything for the family, what kind of impact did that have on you and your siblings?
Well, we had to grow up fast. We had to grow up fast, and the older ones were sort of a disciplinarian because mom had to be in and out. She had to go to the deal with the farm, then she had to go sell, and the older ones had to take care of us, like cooking, washing, doing everything. So you watch everyone, doing stuff, and then you grow up doing the same thing because when the older one grew up and went out to work, then the next set would take over managing the younger children and taking care of the house while mom would be dealing with selling, going to the market and selling produce so she can come home and feed the kids.
And so, what did you want to do when you were younger and you were thinking about, or did you even have time to think about that sort of stuff?
I started thinking about what I wanted to do. I think maybe when I got to grade 6, grade 7, I I wanted to be a nurse because I think I went to the hospital when I was in grade 3. I fell and broke my hand, and so when I saw the nurses or they work in the hospital, I said, I want to be a nurse. But after I grew up and get older, I decided I want to become a police officer. And at the time, I chose that because when I was going to school and had to take the bus and go to school, I noticed the police officers would come on the bus and they don't have to pay. And I'm thinking, wow, if I'm a police officer, I can always take any bus and I would never have to pay. But I
So,
did apply
okay.
and got through.
Wow.
But then I applied to Teachers College and got through. And I weighed both of them and went to Teachers College.
So what drove the ultimate decision for teaching over police officing?
At one point, the violence, I was a little afraid of that. And so I was thinking that I would work in the office instead of on the road. And then I think that's going to be boring. So I chose teaching.
So what was your first few years? You passed the exams, what have you. You get your first assignment. What was that path like?
Well, we had to do, um, after the second year at college, you went for um, teach it, practice teaching, they call it at the time. So you went to a school for 1 year, and I taught there for a year. And after that year, you you are assigned to a school. So they send you to a school. So at that time, I was happy to get a job. So it didn't matter where. It was a little distant from my house, but I had to take two buses. But I was grateful for it. And then I stayed there, never left until I migrated to the States.
What were your sisters and brothers doing at that time?
Um, Everybody was doing something different. My brother, Wes, he was a mechanic, so he was working at a shop, and then he started driving for a politician who controlled our area, West Rural St. Andrew. So he was a chauffeur for Madame Rose Leon. And Milton, the older brother, he was more of a farmer, and he would do some construction here and there. So Charlie, he was more like farming. He took care of the livestock most of his life. So, and he do odd jobs.
So most of the men of the family were doing more physical labor,
Yes, yes.
and your sisters were kind of on the same path, or nursing, or
They went into different things. Jean, she was working with different people, Miss Lam too, and until they migrated. Sonia, I don't think Sonia worked in Jamaica. I think she migrated before she started working in Jamaica. Even if she worked, she didn't. It just nothing significant.
what was the decision for what led to people wanting to come to the States?
One of the main reason was that it was very difficult to get a job, and our situation where so many of us live together, somebody had to be making money to take care. It's not like it's my mother's responsibility only. And so I think Jean went away first. She went to Canada, and she would work and send money back to mom, so mom could take care of the rest of the family. And after that, then Miss Lam went to the US, Jean went to Canada. And so little by little, they would bring up their siblings one by one.
And what was the decision point for Miss Lam and for Jean? Because Canada and the States
It's the
are
opportunity that they
just
got.
wherever.
Yeah, Jean had a friend in Canada, and he sent her an invitation letter. And in those days, that's all you needed, somebody to take you when you get there, or receive you. And she got that connection. Miss Lam was different, because then she married to someone who migrated, and then he applied for her, and she applied for her children. Jean applied for her children, and then after that, they start applying for siblings.
So let's go back to your decision now.
My decision was that I was married to your dad, and he was living here. So I had to give up teaching and came here.
And he came because of
His mom,
yeah.
his parents came and sent for them.
So what was your thinking or your feeling? I understand there's opportunity in the States, but were you scared to be leaving your family? And
No, at that time, most of my family was living here, whether here or Canada. I was maybe one of two or three left out there.
Hmm.
So I liked it out there because everybody send you stuff. You're the only one there.
And it's not as full. The house isn't as full.
Right, and they're coming and they're bringing stuff because there are not a lot of them out, there are a lot of us out there. So that was good. But at the same time, I knew that, eventually I would whether go by marriage or go by other means. But I know eventually I would go. But I was comfortable there because, life was much better then.
Hmm.
Working, you know, have somebody to come in and help me clean and cook and this and that. It was very easy. When I come from work, I didn't have much to do, and that was a good life.
Hmm.
Not a lot of money, but could pay the bills.
And so you're coming to the States. You're not sure what you're gonna do. You have, this crying baby, and a husband who's already working here. So
Yeah.
what was your expectation of what you would be going to?
When I came to the state, I stopped in New York at one of my sisters just to say hello and spend a couple of days there and all that. And they wanted me to stay in New York.
Hmm.
And my husband was living in Boston. So he came to New York just to receive me, and we stayed there for a little while, and they were asking me to stay a little longer and all that. And he was a little upset because he wanted us to go to Boston immediately, but eventually, after about maybe 3 to 5 days, I came to Boston, and then I started looking around because I came to his parents' house.
What was your first impression of Boston?
I didn't At first, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm leaving an environment where, it was much different, much different.
In terms
And
of race and culture and
yes, everything, culture, and, sort of the independence I had. And then coming here, if you're not working and you don't have, you have to depend on someone. And I didn't see myself depending on anyone at that time. So
Mhm.
I came and I started looking at a job because I wanted to move out of the parents' house. I live in my own apartment, so I couldn't see myself living in his parents' house. So I I found I found a place like maybe a month after I came because I came with cash, US cash. So I was able to pay first and last.
You were ready. You're not.
Oh yes, I was ready. I was ready. So, and then, it was a full house. His sister and her children, about 4 children were there, and someone else was, just too many people were there.
Mhm.
His brother was there, so it's
So
just
you,
that the situation that I left Jamaica in a situation where I live alone with my child, and now so. I came with enough cash and we went to a place in Roslindale and couldn't get a job because they were looking for a recommendation. And when I left Jamaica, I think July, and all schools were closed in July. So August, when I got the job, they said they can't confirm until they can call the principal to find out if I worked there and how long I worked there. They verified that yes, I worked there and how long I worked there for and all that. So they called me and told me that I got the job so I could start working. So that was at the time it was Boston 5 Cent Savings Bank. That was the name of the bank. It is now Citizens now. I changed name many, many times. But today it's Citizens Bank.
so you were a bank teller?
Yeah,
Yeah.
bank teller. Then I got a promotion to, I don't remember what they call it, trainer, teller trainer, something like that. So I train new tellers when they come. But I wasn't satisfied. I just didn't like the job. I just needed to work.
You just needed money.
Yes, I needed to work. I didn't like it. And so
How long were you there?
I was there I came a year and a half.
Mm.
And I went back to school and did a computer course, or because I wasn't fluent, with the computer world. So I did a course at at a school in Cambridge, and when I finished, I applied for another job, and I think it was Mackenzie and Company, or they were working, not Mackenzie and Company. It was another company that they were a part of, and somebody told me that someone was leaving and they might need me. And I went and did an interview, and they told me that that part of the business, they don't need anyone, but they're starting another thing, another part, which is Mackenzie and Company, where they're going to administer a program for the higher education system in Massachusetts. And so I went in as I started to enter data. So I was a data entry clerk there. And it was okay. It was more than what I was making at the bank. And, I see familiar faces and I felt more comfortable. So I stayed there until the place was well established. They moved out from the other company and went on their own. They established a law firm as part of Mackenzie and Company. Now it's Mackenzie and Associates and Mackenzie and Company. Same.
So at first it wasn't a law firm, it was kind of just
It
development or
no, he was a lawyer in a company, and then he wanted to do this on the side for himself. So that's where they wanted me. And then he moved away from that other. It was a B&M Technology.
Okay.
That was the name of the company, B&M Technology. So he moved away from B&M and started his own law firm. But he still kept Mackenzie and Company, because that was like bringing a lot of money by just administering the dental. It was a dental program, administering a dental program for the higher education system in
I
Massachusetts.
vaguely remember seeing dental and all that
Yes,
stuff.
yes, yes, yes,
So, but
yes.
okay, so you're a data clerk at this, this firm, and you just come from being essentially
Teller.
a bank teller.
Yeah.
What's going through your mind? You have a family. What's going through your mind about like your career and on the path that you're on at this point?
I think I got too comfortable there for a while, and then I decided, I'm want to go back to school, and I'm gonna maybe go further in education because that's what I know. But when I came here, everybody was saying, "You can't teach here. Teaching here is not the same as teaching in Jamaica." So I stayed away from teaching.
Thinking it's what, more crazy or
The kids, you can't deal with these kids. These kids will, tell you things, and you can't do this and you can't do that and what have you. So I stayed away from teaching. But I went back to school and got my master's in education anyways. And
what was the thought process? Is that
it was like just in case I can, move on and do something else, just in case Mackenzie's thing didn't work out. Then about after maybe 10 years working at Mackenzie and Company, they asked me to come over to Mackenzie and Associates and manage the firm. So I managed the firm, was the office manager and, the big title firm administrator. But you do everything it's everything you do. And because of that, you basically don't have a life. We go on vacation and they were calling me. I was on the beach and I had to answer phone to tell people what to do because they didn't have a second person.
That's the part of your career that I remember the most is going to Jamaica and you being on the phone telling people what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It was,
Or just you coming home late, or
yes.
me visiting you randomly at the office and you just piles of paper in front of you.
Yeah. Always.
It
always.
just seemed like
Non-stop.
from that point I felt like I don't want to do this.
Yeah. It was crazy, crazy. And everybody, all the attorneys, I have to do stuff for everyone. I have to enter their time. I have to give them stuff to review. When they review it, I have to enter it back into the computer. Then I print the statement, send it to the clients and, call them about payments, and it's just on and on. I have to order supplies. I have to
So
do payroll.
at any point where did you regret, or I'm interested in your mind frame when you're coming home and you've now at this point it's probably a decade since you left Jamaica,
Right.
but so there's probably no going back. But I'm curious as to how you felt about you know your decisions, your career path, and what you
It,
were doing.
it's like I had no choice when it comes to leaving Jamaica, because Hugh wasn't gonna come back, and I didn't want to like raise a child all by myself there. So it was, and then most of my family were living overseas. So it's I never thought of going back to teaching, because it doesn't matter what I made at the time. It was much more than what I
What
was
you would get,
making.
yeah.
Yeah, so it wouldn't make sense to go back. But
But you never thought of dabbling, putting a toe in the water in terms of, forgetting what everybody said and
about teaching,
about teaching in the States.
for some reason, it's like every day is something different, and I'm saying, oh gosh, no, I don't think. And eventually, though, after so many years, 21 years of working out there in corporate, not in corporate with Mackenzie, 21 years, I decided I'm gonna I'm gonna go to my first love, and that's when I started the daycare.
So let's talk about that point. So you're 20 some odd years in. You've been at this organization forever. They rely on you, and you've kind of reached your boiling point.
When I was having Tyler, I left there and went straight to the hospital. I never took a day off. I was morning sickness. All I did was just close the door, and people know that I wasn't feeling well. And then I opened back the door and continue work.
I can understand to a certain extent now running a company and putting work ahead of personal
It's
stuff.
like you have no choice.
But you didn't feel like you could take time, especially you didn't think that they would understand. Hey, I'm pregnant. I need I need to.
They just want the office to run smoothly. And when I'm not there, I'm on the phone with them. So if I'm not there, it's like the whole company collapse.
So you make this decision to walk away, and as I remember it, you didn't have a plan B initially.
No, I stayed home for 2 years.
Yeah, and I remember something that actually stuck with me was that you said something along the lines of, "When my back is against the wall, I do some of my best work," or something in that mind frame. And I remember being very impressed because I felt like growing up, I got very used to just almost, doing what I could do and doing it well, but like with very little resources compared to what other people got based on what I could do. And so I think when you said that, I remember being like, that's how I've felt my
Yeah,
entire life.
yeah.
Is that it's last minute, or it's this, or it's that, or
I'm a
it's
last minute person,
yeah,
but when it's last minute, I
yeah,
do the
you
best work.
shine. Yeah, yeah,
I do
yeah.
the best work. From back home, same thing. Last minute, we had to do a paper, and I mean, sleep. We had like an all nighter, and 3-4 of us were there, and sometimes somebody gets some sleep, and the other group work. We have 4 people working, 3 working, one would be sleeping. Then that one got up and one more go back to sleep. And last minute, because we had no choice, last minute the next day we had to present it, and that's what we did. And I came here and the same thing happened. I went back to school and the same thing happened.
So why a daycare? Why did that pop up?
Because my sister Audrey was running a daycare, and she was saying, Lily, you can try this, and she was telling me all the positives and everything like that. And I thought hard. I said, ugh. And I wonder about the kids, the children, the babies, and all that. And I said, I don't know. But she said, just try it. If you don't like it, just stop. So I decided, okay. And she told me, you have to get your license and you have to do this and you have to do that. And because she was sort of a resource, I was able to go through it smoothly. And, you have to set up the place as if you have children and everything after you get your license before they can, not after, before you get your license, because they will come and make sure the refrigerator is okay, the water, hot water is okay, this is okay. Everything is covered, the electrical stuff covered and all that. And when they come in and you have a chalkboard and you have tables and chairs for kids and you have cots and sleeping material, then they come in and look at everything and then you get your license. You have to pretend you have children there teaching. And they come in and see everything in place, and then you get your
So
license.
this was you were setting this up, and you were consulting with Audrey
Yes.
during this 2 years,
Yes.
2 year period.
Yeah.
So how?
No, for 2 years.
No, I'm
In
not
the
saying for
last
2
6
years.
months,
Yeah.
when the 2
yeah.
years finished.
Within that period, though.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking of anything. I just took the time off and did nothing.
Yeah.
Because I think it was when we had this crash, the financial system, crash, and then a lot of people lost their jobs, and so I was supposed to get like 6 months unemployment, but because of the financial crisis, I got 2 years. So I had enough time to think and decided whether or not I want to go back. So the last 6 months, I decided, okay, I have to do something now because I don't want to go back to an office.
Right.
And that's when I started to consult with my sister. So
you felt enough confidence with getting the information you needed within that 6 month period.
yes.
To start it on yourself.
Yes, and after I set up the place, and you did the online. We had online courses, and then we had to go in to the office to do some courses and orientation and all sorts of stuff. And after that, then they come to your house and check and see if you're ready to be licensed. So once I got my license, then I started jumping. I got my license. But that was one thing. Get a child now.
Getting children. Yeah. So how did you market? How did you get your first
Well,
clients?
it's like word of mouth, and then I think I put something in the area paper to say that I have a daycare, and they have a lot of people that we work with. They say you must register with an agency, and the agency will send you. So I registered with an agency, and they sent me kids. But the first kid I got was Charmaine's daughter. Charmaine, that used to work with me. Her daughter, Jakaya. And when I got that little girl, I was calling everybody to let them know that I have a child. One child. But I was happy. And then after, they just kept coming. The agency send me kids, and other people come in, and your name is on the system with EEC, so people just call you because they saw your name on the government website, and that,
Kind
history.
of snowballed after that.
After that, it was like,
So from the you obviously felt comfortable from a child care perspective. You raised children, and you also have the experience with education. But I'm curious as to the business aspect, how you felt.
the business part of it, because I was a managing that company, I had to do everything business. So that was the easiest part.
Okay.
That was the easiest part because I know how to file paperwork. I know how to order stuff. I know how to set up things for the end of year taxes. It's everything that I used to do at Mackenzie, I put in my business too. So it was easy, very, very easy. I didn't have paper thrown out about, and at the end of the year, I'm searching for this. Everything was in file folders and labeled and everything. At the end of the year, I can file the taxes without searching.
And how did it feel having ownership and having your own business at that point?
It didn't feel any way to me. It's like it wasn't even my business till later on I start to understand that it's a business. You know, it's like you're home, you're doing daycare, kids come to your house. It's like, but after a while now, I did an incorporation, and the government make sure it's a business. I incorporated it, and it was not just like a little daycare at home now. It was Lily's Bambino
So you have a
LLC.
yeah. So Lily's Bambinos is created. You have a couple years under your belt, and you're understanding that it's a business. You're treating it as such. You're
Yeah.
getting good reviews. Did it change the way in which? Did you ever sit back and reflect on the path that you had taken from a small town in Cyprus to kind of owning your business and having it be somewhat of an early success?
I didn't even think of it that way, to be honest with you. Um, when you leave home, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to work here, I'm going to work hard, and what have you. And I've done all that. And it's like I come back home now, and I'm doing something that I really like doing. And it didn't even feel like a business. It felt like I'm doing something that I like doing. And then, I start to, when you're dealing with the government now, you realize it's a business and you have to do things a certain way or else and what have you. And then, you start doing very good, and you said, wow. I'm just thinking, wow, if I had spent that 21 years doing what I'm doing now, where would I be today?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you live and you learn.
Do you think watching your mother for so many years essentially run a business as well, from farming and then going and selling and all that stuff, do you think that that had any impact on either your life or both? I mean, you have other sisters who have businesses, and I'm curious as to whether or not
I
that
think
impacted how you guys think.
I think because we grew up working so hard and saw mom working so hard, it's like we had no choice. We had no choice. We just wanted to get out there and do something. As you can see, none of us, sibling girls, none of us has the type of life where they just sit back and don't work, and husbands say don't have to work. Every one of my siblings, sisters, everyone work hard and achieve whatever they have. They work hard to get it. They don't get it like her husband, and
Even if they did, they wouldn't accept it like that.
they have to work. They have to work.
Yeah.
Everybody grew up working. See mom working all her life, and then we started working young because we had to work and help, because so many of us, and mom, she alone couldn't do it. And some kids have to go to school. You have to help pay the school fee, because she couldn't find the money to pay the school fee. So it's hard work from my young age. Been working hard. I've been working from a teenager, long time.
So that leads us into the question about your retirement. When did you decide to retire, and what led you to that decision this year?
I've been trying to retire for the past 3 years, and every year I felt bad. I felt so bad to tell the parents this is it, because they're really, really, really good parents. Really good parents. They're giving, they're loving, they're just a set that I've never seen. And the first year I wanted to retire. I think one parent asked me if I could stay another year, because I think that child was gonna be going someplace or whatever. And she was a nice person, and I stayed that year. And the second year, a lot of them were like, "Oh my God, what we're gonna do? What we're gonna do?" And they give me rave reviews. They send me cards. They do this. I have all the cards, the things they say. And I said, wow, I must be giving them a wonderful service, a great service. And, to just walk away and leave them out in the cold like that. And the third year, which is this year, January, I told them that I'm going to close at the end of the school year, which is August, August 31st. And just enough time for them to look around. I said, look around, see if you can find alternative daycare or preschool or what have you. I said, if I get somebody to run the daycare, I will leave it open. And I said, by June, I will let you know if I'm going to leave it open. And June, I told them I didn't get anyone, so we have to close. So they were prepared. They were more than prepared, but still sad, but prepared.
And you are how do you feel about the decision? You're what
I
are we
miss
at?
the kids.
Yeah.
I really, really miss the kids. And I haven't spoken to the parents yet because I want that feeling. I want to get rid of that feeling before I contact the parents. Just to find out how they're doing. I have not done anything since the end of August. Nothing. I travel, I told him I was going to do a lot of traveling and all that, but I have not. One parent wrote me this morning and sent me a picture of the little boy. And I said, oh my gosh, I didn't even want to. Yeah. But, it took me a while. It's taken me a while to get them out of my system because nice children's, kids, sometimes they give you a hard time or whatever, but yeah, in another second, they go, oh, Miss Lillethe, I love you so much, and it just beautiful kids. Miss them a lot, but I had to close.
What are you most excited about in this next stage of retirement?
The freedom, the freedom. When I have the kids, I can't go anywhere for too long because I have to make sure everything is okay, and that even if I leave somebody there, I worry because I want to make sure that the kids are taken care of, and I don't want anything to go wrong with the kids that the parents have to call me, and so I don't want to take long vacation. I take vacation when I just give them the time when I'm going to close. So we are closed and no kids are there and I don't have to worry. But now, when I take a vacation, like a week or so and leave, I said, oh my, the only way I'm going to take vacation and feel comfortable is when I retire. So even if I wanted to work another year or two, it's just the confinement was my problem. I want to go places, and because I don't want to leave just anyone with the kids, I can't go. So, no, I get that freedom. That's the most important part of my retirement. Freedom.
There seems to be a theme of independence throughout your life,
Yeah.
of wanting to feel free or independent.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
So, two more questions. So you're almost out the hot seat. I'm curious as to what, if any, or better yet, how did having the business impact, your relationships, whether they be friendships or or family members?
The business exposed me to a lot of people, whether from the agency or from the organization, Milton Area Family Child Care Association. Met a lot of people, and my name or the company's name been everywhere because everybody who talked to me tell us somebody told me about you, somebody told me about you. And my relationship with the family, I think it has improved somewhat because I think I was able to do things that I have in my mind that I want to do for them if I can. I was able to do, for people who I want to do stuff for. Not just family, but people back home and, other, just people in general. I was able to do things that in my mind I want to do, if I can. Though there were things that I want to do from the minute I came to this country, but I couldn't do it because I couldn't afford to do it. Well, the business allowed me to do that. And, it doesn't matter how little you give sometimes, you would be surprised how far it goes. And that was always my intention, to give back.